Watkins out on the wide, maybe, who can then do what Kane isn't doing by having them play pushing further forward and having them running in behind, which is something that players like Gordon and Watkins can do. But instead, he's playing people like Foden and Bellingham, who all like to do what Kane does. And so, yeah, they're criticising what Kane is doing, saying he should be playing further forward, when I think the criticism should more be, why isn't Southgate playing people who complement Harry Kane rather than expecting Harry Kane to do something else than what Harry Kane excels at?
I think it's such a ridiculous criticism if directed towards Kane. I think the criticism is fine. I'm guessing Shearer wants to simplify his role, completely have him concentrate on scoring goals. That's exactly what England needs right now. That seems like a real legitimate criticism, but that's a coaching decision. And I think, if I would imagine, with just the character that Harry Kane shows, if they told him, I don't want you to drop him back anymore, that's it. You're Ronaldo out there. Look for the goal, bury it. And that's it. That's not a Harry Kane decision. And I tell you something, for two guys that never actually took anything home, that seems to be a hell of a sort of jealous-like criticism. Shearer, as great as he was, you can name 10 other players in his era during the era that were 10 times better than him. Yes, I know he scored the most goals in the Premier League for the longest period of time, but that was when the Premier League was a secondary to Serie A. I really, the balls of these guys to direct this towards Harry Kane. So it's almost like, now if Harry Kane has been told to drop back, we don't know whether he was or not, by Gareth Southgate, he's going to do that. What are they telling him to do? To upend or not listen to the coach? I mean, this seems to be a strictly coaching criticism that they're making, and apparently, Kane's been going back and forth with these guys, and considering Shearer's the type of player that he is, the Shearer that the place he holds in England's heart, it just makes him look like a jealous bitch, because he couldn't get it done, and Kane's gotten closer than all those jackasses have. I remember years where England couldn't even make it qualify for these tournaments. They weren't here in Germany in 2006. So, I mean, it just seems so bizarre and so misplaced to criticize Kane for doing what, like you said, what Kane's done, rather than somebody should be going there and tell Kane not to drop back in this particular situation because we need goals now. Is that a good or fair read of this situation as a non-England fan?
Yeah, I think, it's just them saying, because the thing is, like, when you look at Lineker and Shearer, they're basically asking Kane to do exactly the way they used to play.
So the old farts are like, you got to do it the way. Well, football hasn't changed since 1999. Like, give me a break, guys. Like, are you nuts? And not to mention the fact, maybe that's what Southgate wants him doing. I'm not saying the criticism itself isn't legitimate. It very well may be. Maybe a simplified Kane role would benefit England greatly. Sure, let's talk about it. But how does that make Kane a bad guy? I mean, it just makes you guys look like, oh, you got to do it like I did. Well, it's not the same. It's completely different in a post Pep Guardiola era. I mean, it just seems nuts to me. That's all I got on that. I mean, unless you do.
Yeah, I've got nothing to add.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. You guys sound like a bunch of jealous old men. It's just that simple. You sound like a bunch of jealous old men, and it's shameful considering how great you are. Well, if I was out there, if you wouldn't be doing anything. You'd be doing what you're told. You don't get free room to roam anymore and kind of do your own thing in a post Pep era. Or even, well, actually, it shouldn't say a post-Pep era. This is the Pep era. You don't get to do any of that shit anymore. It was a lot more freedom for English players back then to kind of, pick their role? I don't know. You would know more about that era than I would.
I wouldn't know exactly about the coach.
Well, were they allowed to just say, hey, fuck off, coach? I'm doing what I want?
Not, no.
Look, certainly, I don't have the skill or the talent or even the knowledge of an Alan Shearer, but I do have. There's a certain amount of logic that goes into this, that the criticism is misguided, unless for some reason Southgate's telling him to play forward and Kane's not listening. And something tells me, with Harry Kane's reputation and just the way he carries himself, that's not the case. I think he does what he's told. I'm sorry, you guys are assholes.